asked, I listened. Welcome to the first Bombchu review of a non-monthly bundle. Today we'll be looking at the recently released WB Classics bundle. Let's dig in, starting with the $1 tier. Scribblenauts Unlimited is a puzzle game that you solve with words. You have a notebook that can create objects that you type out. Someone needs to get their cat back? Type ladder and you can climb up and get it. Or you can use adjectives, make yourself flying, and never need a ladder again. Some of the requests people make are really easy and straightforward, but others can be puzzling when your initial instincts go wrong. Like this toxic waste. What can I use to get rid of it? At first I tried a bomb, but the toxic waste actually ate that, so I tried putting it into a bag, which worked, but then I had a bag of toxic waste, which conveniently can be eaten by the next toxic waste. This one's really easygoing, but I had a lot of fun completing it. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is an open-world action RPG set in the Lord of the Rings universe. You and your family are brutally murdered, but the wraith of the Elf Lord and ringsmith Celebrimbor keeps you from death, partnering with you to seek revenge. Before all the microtransactions, before sexy Shelob the spider, before Talion was given the dumbest face ever in Shadow of War, we got this lovely gem of a game, Shadow of Mordor. Core combat plays a lot like the Batman Arkham games, using X to melee, Y to counter, B to stun to be able to do a flurry of melee attacks, A to dodge, executions when you build up combo, etc. Of course, some differences start to show up when you get into magic wraith powers versus Batman gadgets. One of my favorites is the double counter. When you're countering an enemy and another one attacks, you can press counter again, and Celebrimbor will emerge from your body to counter the second enemy. The major piece setting Shadow of Mordor apart is its nemesis system, where the leaders of Sauron's army will fight and change over time. If you fight a captain and they kill you, not only can they get a promotion, the next time you fight them, they'll remember killing you. Burn them with fire and let them escape, they'll have burns and want revenge the next time you encounter them. It's a cool system, especially once you can brand enemies and make them fight for you, allowing you to take down the army from within. I almost completed this game 100%, and I had a great time doing it. Batman Arkham Origins is a cash-in on the immensely popular Arkham series. This one doesn't come from Rocksteady, the developer of the main series, nor does it have Kevin Conroy playing Batman or Mark Hamill playing the Joker, leaving the game feeling inauthentic. It also takes place far in the past, so a lot of the fun relationships Batman has really haven't been formed yet. It plays a lot like Arkham City and shares a lot of the same gadgets. I'll get more in depth with the Arkham games later in the video with our final game. The gameplay is still good old Arkham, but everything else just feels a little blah. Arkham City is the superior game and sets up the story for Arkham Knight, so I feel like that should have been included instead of Origins, but hey, if you really love the Arkham games and just need more Batman, this isn't a horrible way to go. Moving into the Beat the Average tier, Bastion is a 2D isometric action game from Supergiant Games, who went on to make Transistor. In terms of gameplay, Bastion is nothing revolutionary, but it came at a time when indie games were on the rise, not long after games like Braid and Limbo were released. While gameplay isn't super special, it is solid and works well enough to be carried by the style that the game oozes. Gorgeous hand-painted art filling levels that build up around you as you traverse them, along with one of the best narrators in video game history dynamically narrating your actions, and of course, the music. It's superb. It's so good, it's actually what got me to start making game grooves. Link to that video down below. Is the gameplay dated? A little, but it has so much going for it in every other department and only runs a few hours. In my opinion, it's worth playing through. Mad Max is an open-world action RPG set in the universe of, what else, Mad Max. WB certainly has a type of game they like to favor, but again, this one has something to set it apart, that being the focus on your car. You build and upgrade your car, which is used for getting around, but also for combat when you aren't on foot. Controls are really strange. You aim your gun by pressing right bumper, run with right trigger, look at location information by pushing in the left thumbstick, Interact with A, shoot with B? Just a lot of strange choices on foot that start to make a little more sense when you hop in the car. Right trigger accelerates, which kinda matches up with running. Left trigger is reverse, so another button has to be used for gun aiming in the car. I get it, it's just really hard to get used to. Personally, I got this one after playing one too many open world action RPGs and just couldn't commit much time to it. But if you can get used to the strange controls, this is a solid game. Injustice: Gods Among Us is a DC fighting game from the developers of Mortal Kombat. I'm terrible at Mortal Kombat, and similarly terrible at Injustice. But it doesn't really matter that much because the story mode is pretty darn easy, and the story itself is awesome. Superman has been tricked into accidentally killing Lois Lane, who was pregnant with his son, and ends up taking over Earth as a dictator. It's a great premise, and it's not wasted as there are great twists and turns throughout. If you're wanting to play multiplayer, you better have a buddy ready because when I got on to see how bad I'd get my ass kicked, I wasn't able to find anyone to play with. Whether you like fighting games or not, I'd say this one is worth it for the story alone. Finally, in the $12 tier, Batman Arkham Knight is the final game in the Arkham trilogy. Everyone and their mother has said it at this point, but you really can't describe this series without saying that it makes you feel like Batman. The cape, the gadgets, the tech, the city, everything feels authentic. Right down to using Kevin Conroy as Batman, arguably the definitive voice of Batman ever since the animated series. Many other games have copied the core combat of Batman, but here, stealth is very much required as you get further into the game, as Batman doesn't get to use guns, and his enemies don't really follow that rule so much. Where other games might have you throw an object to distract your enemies, Batman uses his enemies to distract his enemies, by stringing them up to use them as a distraction and incapacitate them at the same time. A lot of what's here isn't exactly new, but it's damn good and polished. The main new addition also happens to be a sticking point for some people, the Batmobile. Yes, you finally get to drive the Batmobile around, and you have to use it a lot. Most people I've talked to who hated this game couldn't get used to the controls for the Batmobile. Personally, I like the controls. You can drive it like a car and go super fast, or you can hold down left trigger to enter combat mode, giving you free movement at a much slower pace to blast enemies. The story has some great twists and turns, and some delightful surprises that I won't dare spoil for anyone. This was another game I damn near 100% completed, and I had an excellent time doing it. Thanks a ton for watching. I'll be back next week for the Humble November bundle. In the meantime, Bombchu has a Discord now. Come join to discuss bundles, games in general, and find people to play your new games with. See you next time.